Dutch is definitely a difficult sounding language, as I'm sure you've realized. But is it actually that much more difficult when compared to other languages? This is what we will find out in this episode. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Making It in Holland, a channel all about expat life and entrepreneurship here in the Netherlands. Today I will be talking about some of the reasons why Dutch seems to be a much more difficult language when compared to others. By the end of this video, you will be able to find out for yourself whether it is worth learning Dutch and whether you're up for the challenge or not. So stick around and let's start with point number 1. Boodschappen, verschrikkelijk, gezelligheid. You've probably realized that the pronunciation of Dutch is by no means an easy one. I lived here since 2004 and I've been learning Dutch for several years, and I can tell you that I still have a hard time pronouncing these words. When you look at these consonant heavy sounds that come together like CH or SCH, this brings about a sound that is not so easy for foreigners to pronounce. However, when you get used to it, it is not that difficult. A tip that I have for you to be able to master that is actually a tip that I was given several years ago by my Dutch teacher, and that is to pretend like you're about to spit on the ground. So this kind of build-up that you get is the kind of part of your throat that you use when you're pronouncing these words. So every time you feel like there's a challenging word that is going to be difficult for you to pronounce, just pretend like you're about to take a spit and you're gonna spit on the floor. For example, boodschappen, gezelligheid. So if you keep these in the back of your head, it might be a little bit easier when it comes to pronouncing these words. Having said that, it takes some practice to be able to master them, and I lived here since 2004, and I can reassure you to this day it is still difficult for me to pronounce many of these words, like vreselijk, verschrikkelijk, verschrikkelijk. You see, I only still get it right the third time around. The second thing that makes Dutch a difficult language is the word order. Now, in English, we're very much used to the subject, verb, and object way of organizing all of the sentences. For example, I walk to the gym. Here you have the I, which is the subject, walk, to walk, that is your verb, and then the gym, that is the object. Now, in Dutch, it's not always so quite straightforward when it comes to keeping this order that you might be so used to, especially if you're used to speaking English. In Dutch, there are cases that this word order holds true, but the moment you introduce one or two additional words, the word order changes dramatically, and usually what happens is all of the verbs of the sentence get stacked all the way at the end of the sentence. So as an example, let's take sorry, I am late, which is sorry, ik ben laat. However, the moment you put dat in the sentence, listen to what happens. Sorry dat ik laat ben. Now, here, you might have noticed that the word order has dramatically changed and the verb is all of a sudden at the end of the sentence. This is something you have to keep in mind when you're speaking Dutch and you're introducing different help words, to keep in the back of your head that most likely all the verbs are going to be stacking at the end of the sentence. Another example I love to use is ik moet jullie laten boodschappen doen. The third point actually brings me to a very funny story. My Dutch teacher told me that not many Dutch people even themselves know which words are de and which words are het. And at the end of the day, it all boils down to what you've come to learn. And in many cases, she said, it takes actually memorization. And this is something that makes the language a lot more challenging than it should be. But here's a quick tip from me. Every time there's a word that ends in a diminutive like meisje, those words get het. However, to be fully know what is de and het, you're probably going to have to memorize those, and this is undoubtedly what makes Dutch a difficult language to learn for some. The fourth element that makes Dutch appear to be a difficult language is undoubtedly all the irregular verbs that are in the language. There are around 200 irregular verbs, and that means for every past or present tense, you're going to have to learn a different version of the same word. For example, to walk, lopen, becomes ik loop, ik liep, ik heb gelopen. And that is the different kind of conjugations you're going to have to learn for every single tense. However, because there are only 200 verbs as such, and only a handful of them will be the verbs that you actually use on a daily basis, I think this is not that difficult to manage at the end of the day. My suggestion here would be to actually go through the whole list of irregular verbs and pick a handful that you think you're going to use every day, like to walk and things of that nature, and memorize those and make sure you use them in a daily basis. Remember, practice makes perfect, and the more you practice difficult verbs and their variations, the easier they're going to become the next time around that you have to use them. Dutch people will speak to you in English. This happens more often than you think. When they hear that you're not from the Netherlands, they immediately switch to speaking in English with you because they also love practicing their English. However, when this happens to you, just continue to speak back to them in Dutch, or let them know beforehand that you would like to speak in Dutch with them to be able to get some practice. So what do you guys think? Is Dutch a difficult language? Are you trying to learn Dutch? And what do you need help with? Let me know down in the comments below. And as usual, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoy watching these types of videos, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I have new videos that come out every week. And until the next episode, as usual, don't forget to stay awesome.